Hail them.
Hailing frequencies open, sir.
Hailing frequencies. Open.
I don't know why I keep giving alien street food a chance. It's always such a gamble.
Captain, we're being hailed.
On screen.
Hello, and welcome to another Hailing Frequencies Open podcast, where we continue to trek through the past and future of Star Trek. Today, we're focusing on the recent past. As always, I'm your host, Mike Jones, and joining me here in the virtual studio, he always hates it when it comes to an end, so he's ready to run it back again. It's Damien.
I do. I always hate it when it runs. Yes, that. How are you, Mike Jones?
I'm good. I didn't. If you're a listener, you know that Lanita and Damien write their intros for each other, and that one I was like, wait, what? And I thought like you would be like, oh, I get it, and you're like, oh, yes, true.
Okay, yes, sure. Listen, my feelings aren't hurt, so I'm gonna take it as a win, and we're gonna continue on with the pod.
Okay. Also with us, I already said her name. Roddenberry tried to give her 3 boobs in his original script for this podcast. It's Lanita.
Oh, I would love a third titty. It would be so fun. Just over here on the side hanging out. Hi, Mike Jones. Hi, Tamazon.
Not even in the center. Not even like
right here.
Just like under your
armpit titty.
It's an armpit boob.
Armpit titty.
Oh my
absolutely.
God.
Well, there goes one of my questions for the pod. Where would it be?
Under my armpit, hidden away. Woo, there it is.
Well, now I have nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Here's the thing, Mike Jones. You didn't realize how is cum spelled?
Oh, it is spelled C-U-M. Yes.
It's
it's a dirty joke. Should we do it again? Do you want to do it again?
I was thinking that Mike Jones would maybe give it air quotes like comes to an end, but it's a listening medium. It doesn't. I don't know.
This
is why I'm not a writer.
All right.
Right.
Luck next time.
It's an audio medium. So today we are looking at the most recent series that has ended, Lower Decks.
So sad.
I mean, there's really no reason for it, I mean, Mike Jones, you said it best that it could have been like The Simpsons, just on into perpetuity.
Perpetuity.
Yes.
And they should, not jumping ahead, but jumping ahead. They showed in this season how it would have worked with them being not the bottom Lower Decks. They're still connected to it. They're still not Upper Decks. So
right.
I would have watched them continue to rank up until
and actually I'm sort of like disproving my own point that I just supported in that, The Simpsons is all about characters who never grow.
Right, that's true.
Right, that's the point. And
that's true.
That is like one of the hallmarks of this show is the growth of these characters and the journey that these characters are on.
Yeah.
That's true.
But it still shouldn't end now.
It would make it hard to deal with the kind of growth that these characters are created with. I mean, Mariner was written in a place so that she had somewhere to go. And we got to see her go there. You know what I mean? And they all kind of were written that way. But I don't know. Well, it's also I also stand behind the thought that it shouldn't end because Mike McMahon says it shouldn't end. He has more ideas. They can continue to be. Here's the question: I don't know if they would have written this season the way they did if they didn't know that it was going to be the end at some point.
I believe that to be true.
Do we know when they knew? Because it's like the second half of the season, we start seeing all of these indications.
That's true.
That they're going somewhere, or that they're that like the growth. I've been sort of sporadically rewatching episodes, sort of in the last few days, getting ready for this. And the one that I just watched, the Starbase 81, and it starts with Mariner being like, oh, I'm kind of exhausted of trying to buck the system all the time. Like sometimes it's fun to just enjoy science, right? And that's like you're getting this like character growth moment from Mariner, and you're like, at that point they had to know that it was coming to an end, right?
Sure, yeah. They make it they make it a little obvious.
Yeah. But here's the thing is that it seems like even when they start, what I love about Lower Decks is how they mined every other series for this. Like the Easter eggs, the little like wink wink nod nod to all of Star Trek writ large. It seems like in this season it was like just chock full, filled to the brim of throwbacks to every other series. Like just it was a poo poo platter and I loved every minute of it. So even though you're saying like did they know like halfway through, I feel like they kind of knew maybe before then because of the amount of sort of throwbacks, I will call them, that were present the entire way through.
B. Well, the overall theme was definitely alternative realities, parallel
Loved it.
dimensions.
Loved it.
Yeah.
And they did that right in the beginning with Dos Cerritos, first episode.
It's funny because if you imagine that they had 10 episodes like sort of written or sketched out, it was crucial that be first.
Yeah.
Because everything else sort of thematically, not plot wise, but thematically comes from that.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Well,
very subtle changes, darker uniforms for. And I only noticed that somehow on the rewatch. Like when I watched the first time, I was just like, you're in it. And then I was like, oh, the whole other non-prime universe, whichever one you're going to say it is, the Becky universe. Right. They're all in these like darker, richer uniforms. I was like, oh, that's how I can tell them apart more easily. So I was like, how do you know who's who?
Right. Some of them have longer hair, things like that.
I appreciated Ransom with the Andre Agassi mullet.
Absolutely. I was like, okay, very nice. Very nice. And it's interesting, like the whole like if we had made slightly dissimilar choices, like this is where we would be. It's like, it's just it's a butterfly effect. One little choice changes everything.
Right.
So good.
Yeah. Well, and in previous seasons they've had something that ties everything together, but in this season I think that they did a good job not being too heavy-handed with it. This episode was all about the parallel universe, and then in every episode there's some little reference. In fact, I say not even maybe every episode, but throughout the season they peppered in these little references to these other dimensions, these portals. Are they man-made? Are they naturally occurring? Whatever. And then, it led up to this like really great finale.
Wormhole. I was like, and at the end, Deep Space Nine.
I mean, it really is. I mean, it's exactly.
I was like,
it really is.
It's perfect. And Nicole Byer, let's speak. When we watch this, I always listen. I'm like, oh, I know that voice. Oh, I know that voice. And then I was like, oh, that's perfect for her. I was like, that is exactly who she is in real life.
Right.
Just because I've listened to her podcast, Why Am I Single? No, I can't remember what it's called. I haven't listened to it in a while, but like that bubbly, like when you're watching the Netflix, Fake It. Was it her cake show?
Nailed It.
My friend was on Nailed It.
Her podcast is Why Won't You Date Me?
Why Won't You Date Me? Well, she stopped trying to figure that out. And now she just talks about love and relationships.
I should listen to her podcast.
She's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just like, oh, okay, Starbase 80. They set up, the first episode sets up so well the rest of the season for each and every character and every choice that the characters made in the first episode, you really see follow through. Beckett with Boimler with taking the tablet and then watching him
Right.
grow a
Wanting to be
beard
bearded Boimler.
through 10 was hilarious. The way that they drew that, where it's like, I was like, oh, that is how it looks. Like the terrible like caterpillar on the lip, and then watching like the lines of the beard, and then it kind of coming in. I was like, oh, he's looking more and more like Riker.
Right.
And I mean, it was just the most sort of perfect way to illustrate his journey, because it was, the Riker thing, like
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a phrase that came from that, like a TV for, like, it's like jump the shark came from
Yeah.
Happy
Yeah. It's
Days.
the
You know
opposite
what I
of
mean?
jumping
Like,
the shark. It's
grow the beard came from
Right.
Riker. Like, the character comes into his own when he grows a beard, and so it is just like, it's just such a perfect way to illustrate that. Of course, he wants to be, he wants to be Riker, right? And of course he wants. So it just is. I was so delighted that he grew the beard, and they executed it so well.
And could have only done it in animation that way. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, yes, with the right special effects as far as like hair and makeup could
Sure.
have possibly, but through animation you could do something different, and it was beyond perfect. I mean, they even showed it when they did the crossover live action episode. Like, he wants to be Riker. Like, it just
Right. Like when he gets onto Pike's saddle, he's like a Riker.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's so like, and I love that they gave these characters these journeys. Like, they ended up in what felt like an unlikely place given where they started, but that they were still themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
Mariner is still sort of like at the very last that we see her, when she's like in the provisional first officer chair, she's like still bitching about her boss, right?
Right.
And when when Boimler gets the message from his like transporter twin,
he's
like,
still freaking out. Like, hopefully he doesn't freak out. But he does.
I'm gonna die. But he's like, he's the character. He's Harry Kim now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is the character that we never get on Next Generation. He is terrified and brave. He perseveres through his own, right? So he screams when he's afraid. He has like an emotional reaction to that, but he's
then pulls it together.
Right. When push comes to shove, like, yeah, he can sit in that captain's chair and take charge if he needs to,
Yes.
which he's done.
Just once.
Right, just once.
Just once. I went back and watched the very first episode when I finished it, I went back and watched the very first episode of the series. And was like, wow, this makes total sense. Like, it made sense on its own as a season 5. But going back just to watch that very first episode, I was like, this makes it's if it had to end for me, that is perfect. However, it can start up again. We say,
oh yeah,
the door's open.
The door's open. We can take some time. Where do we jump back in? 3 years later, what has happened? It just it was like chef's kiss for too much use of that term, but like,
yeah, sure.
You still see the scrappy nature that Mariner started with still there, even though she has matured and done some things. And in the first episode, she's like, I've been on 5 ships. You've like when they go to that, it's the second contact is where they start. First contact's great, but second contact's even better. She's gone off to give the people, the farmers, some tools, and they have to fight the big, like, the spider alien that and eventually like suckles Boimler.
Oh my god, this is the first episode, yeah?
The very first episode.
You can't stun it, it'll spoil the milk.
It'll spoil the milk. She's like, see? Like, I told you. And what's his what's first officer's name? I can never remember his name.
Ransom.
He comes back, he's got like the bite, and it's like it's a parasite, which, here's the thing. I thought that the transporters decontaminated you when you came back on the ship. But maybe not since you're bitten. Is it a different, like, if you have something on you versus being bitten and infected with it?
I'm sure they could come up with some technobabble to explain that away, like,
Yeah, they can always.
it's slightly out of phase or something,
Which was fun. No, but in my head, I was like, oh yeah, like if you get bit with something, like you're injected versus like a contaminant like being washed off of you, like or being blown off of you, and everybody turning into like flesh-eating zombies. And then it's the goo that Boimler comes back with is like the medicine. But I laughed out loud on the train multiple times this morning because I forgot how funny that first episode was.
Funny.
And him being and Mariner be like, just relax. You'll get tired soon as he's getting sucked in and out
Right.
of this entire. I was like, ugh, that's horrible. Like, you want something to eat? Sure, let's eat. Like it just. And
Well,
then to see-
one thing about that first episode that really was different from anything we'd ever seen in Star Trek before is that there was kind of an A plot and a B plot, but the B plot was our A plot. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
correct.
if this were a TNG episode or something, the people, Ransom being bitten and the virus on the ship would be the A plot. But what we get is like Rutherford going on a date as the
And she came back and she was the first. She was in the last season, the first episode. She was at the comms. That's who he went on the date with.
Oh,
The
that's
Trill.
same. Yeah.
That's the same girl. And I wouldn't have
Wow.
known that if I hadn't gone back and watched it. Like, how could you not want to run the diagnostic? And he's
Right.
like, yeah. And they're the beginning of like them being like, work besties.
Well, in season 5, we get Upper Decks, the episode where it shows
Uh-huh.
that the Lower Decks people think that the Upper Decks crew
Do
is
nothing.
boring and does nothing, but actually they have crazy adventures too that the Lower Decks don't even know about. Which I think also proves that the show could continue. Like, even though they're Upper Deck now,
Right.
like they're still, the ship is a Lower Deck ship. You know what I mean? Starbase 80 is a Lower Decks Starbase.
Yes.
Oh my God, it was so great. It was so great. It's the comms. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Oh my, it was,
Can we
So
talk
good.
about our Klingon through line with Mach?
Oh, I didn't see that coming. I
And
thought that was like a
Malor.
one-off episode, like the
because didn't they
farewell
fight in
to
the cave?
farms. Oh, they did
Oh.
fight in the cave. Yeah.
That he's the Klingon from the cave, right?
He's the Klingon from
when it's raining glass.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. And he's the one who she shares her story about Sito with.
Oh,
Correct. Yes.
And he really is responsible for her like sort of
Cracking open
emotional
yes.
Sort of climax of the story for the previous season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is, and also General Corrin, right? The guy on the council with the one eye,
Yes.
right? He was the guy who she and Mariner take to their job. It's like episode 2. or something like that. Very
yeah.
right.
When they take him to the planet that has like a Risa section and
yes, and there's like a Klingon part of the it's like a sort of multicultural planet where they take him.
New York.
And then she and he are old friends, and Boimler's like along for and he's like,
yes,
Brimbo, and he's like,
Envoys is the
but
name
I'm
of the
super
episode.
honored that you remember I exist.
Yeah, everything like connects. It's really smart. It's very smart.
It was very smart, and I gotta say because it seems like just about every season they do an episode that is like off format, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, like we had the episode that was all peanut hamper.
Yeah.
Right. So I know. Right.
Yeah.
But on the bird planet, right?
The bird
Correct.
planet.
Right.
Somehow they got to have children.
Right.
Wild.
So this felt like the sort of like off format episode for the season, right? And I think
the Klingon episode.
Yes.
Well, it starts different. It starts on the planet, and
oh my god! And the
you know,
music,
harvesting the bloodworms.
And we've never. This is the first that we've seen how blood wine
is made.
Yeah.
This is, and actually that is not nothing. I really, Lower Decks has done such a good job, like blood wine, like with the Orions, with like taking things that were like known, existing in canon, and leaning in and giving us more.
And filling it
fleshing
out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Same thought, like when literally first episode with them looting and pirating and going to get the other ship and the Orions and the Orions. Oh, we're blue and you're green.
Yeah.
I was like, hello. We had a whole episode. Where'd they come from? What? How do you say it?
It's like they were listening to us. It really
It's,
felt
yeah,
that
it
way.
is.
They did. They
They
listened to
definitely
us.
are in touch with the fans, like, you know, on a deep level, to understand what the questions that we've asked for years and years. And like there's this one throwaway thing about the rocks in the bulkheads that Billups like says, "Oh, I recharged the rocks in the bulkheads." Like I don't remember the exact phrase, but because whenever on TNG, whenever they take damage, the special effects is like there's just like
Yes.
rocks from
Rocks.
nowhere.
Yeah.
And they explained a canon reason why they have rocks in the walls.
Oh
And
my
like
God.
absorbs.
I totally did
something.
not catch that at all.
Yeah,
Time.
I'll have to find the actual clip and send it to you. But I was like, oh my God, like this is the best Star Trek ever.
But this is what I mean. That's what I say when like these Easter eggs, it's like it's not throwaways. Like these writers were combing through, like they're actual experts in Star Trek, and said,
Yeah.
what are we pulling out? What are the things that fans would notice and know? And like, it just so good, and I'm so sad.
Or like a Starbase 80 is like half administered by the Akamarians, which
Oh
Yes.
right.
do you remember that episode? Lenita,
Yes.
do you remember that one?
No, I don't
I think you
so.
probably do, but it is like
Just saying
season 3.
Akamarians doesn't like
Right, exactly, because the Gatherers, do you remember this? Season 3, they were sort of like I don't want to call them pirates, but they were sort of like
Oh, wait,
clan
did-
warfare.
Yeah.
And Riker falls in love with the woman who is
she's the chef for the
taster.
taster.
She
Huh.
tastes the sort of the head of state, tastes food for the head of state.
So he's not poisoned.
So she's not poisoned. Yes.
Right.
Right.
Ulta
Yes.
is her name.
What was her name?
Isn't it Ulta? Am I wrong? Like
Sure.
Pene alla Ulta
Okay.
or
As you
something.
Google,
Pene alla Ulta.
side note that has nothing to do with anything. Someone made a joke and said, how many food tasters in medieval times were executed, or how many chefs, because of food tasters that died because of food allergies, were unnecessarily killed because they didn't poison the food, but the food taster was allergic to tomatoes. So here comes some pasta. They're dead. Chef gone. I didn't poison you. He's just allergic.
That's hilarious.
Which I was like, you know what? I do wonder how many chefs have lost their life to food allergies of the taste testers.
Oh my God.
I mean, it makes, Bridgerton, the dude died because he got stung by a bee. Who knew that bees could kill people, in 18th century England?
Right. I'm like, Macaulay Culkin knew.
He did. Where are his glasses? We should not laugh at that.
We should. That was such an upsetting moment as a child watching.
My girl being
My
like,
girl.
Oh my God, so terrible. Did you find her name, Mike Jones? I took us
Yeah,
off
it
the
is
rails.
Yulta.
See? Trust your
Um,
brain. Trust your
And
brain.
the episode is the Vengeance Factor. That's
The
where we
Vengeance-
meet the
Akamarians?
Akamarians. Yes.
Which, I mean, like, there's so many, like, Akamarians, Tamarians, Talarians,
right.
Tatarians. Like, I mean, it, Sure.
Utah. Sorry, Utah. There's no L. I think I'm getting her mixed up with the
Beauty supply store?
Yes, Ulta, which I think should be pronounced Ulta
Uta.
every time I see it. But it's not. Anyway.
Oh, I do remember them. I looked them up. That's why I'm
Yeah.
like,
So yeah, due to a weird treaty, they control half of Starbase 80. Like, okay.
I mean,
Sure.
wouldn't that treaty be sort of the same as like the Bajorans or like the Cardassians own
Right.
like half of Deep Space Nine?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I mean it feels very reminiscent of like a setup for like it feels like a backdoor pilot.
Yeah.
But also if you looked at, there was like when they were on it, one of the zoomed out shots, it was like the promenade as they're walking around.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, here we are. All we need is, Jake Sisko hanging off with his feet dangling.
Mhm.
And Odo saying, "What are you two doing?" Um, it's just,
How
it
do
just
we
makes me
feel?
sad. Go
How do
ahead.
we feel about Captain Freeman actually getting transferred there?
Well, it's interesting that that was the big mystery, that in the other reality she is running Starbase 80, and so we learned that in the first episode. So that's like haunted her
But it
throughout.
seems like she was banished there. Like they made
It
it seem
did
like
sound
she
like
was
she was
banished,
banished there.
not that it was a
Right.
choice,
Right.
Yeah,
right? Like
that's true.
also, I like it because Starbase 80 is now one of the most important star bases
Right.
in the
Mm-hmm.
galaxy. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not just a wormhole going to the Gamma Quadrant, it's a multiverse going to who the fuck knows where and
Right.
when. So it's like she has been sort of promoted without any like additional pips
Right.
Right.
to be able to be with her husband, because they ain't been together in 5 years,
Right.
At
however long.
least. Yeah.
He's an admiral, so now they get to be together. He's hilarious. He's not gonna like it too much. He's already
No.
waiting for somebody to carry his bags. That chick
Right.
was
Right.
hilarious. She said, "Your arms don't work." I said, "Yes." That is real.
He
That right
has a
there was
lot
real.
of baggage. He has a Star Trek, a Starfleet fanny pack. Like
Yes,
he was laden down with stuff.
he was. And when I tell you that, when that entire interaction, I was like, "Oh, that's marriage." It's like
Yeah.
that right there.
Yeah, I mean, a series based around Starbase 80 and the what do they call it? It's not a wormhole. The portal,
Portal,
whatever.
yeah,
Like
which is beautiful, by the way.
that writes itself. I mean, that's like
How many different things
Stargate
could come
or
out?
Sliders or
Ooh,
like you know what I mean.
yeah.
Every episode could be something new, something different. Okay,
I
okay.
fucking love that though that these shows now, because this is the same as season 3 of Picard, where they end because they're supposed to,
Mm,
Mm,
right? And what do is they like write a page 1 for something else, and that's
yeah,
how they leave us, right? I mean,
yeah.
and
that's
then none of this
really
is
good.
supported by Paramount, but
No,
the
It could be.
just the
it could
writers
be,
are like
it
they
could
opened that
be.
door.
It's
The seeds are planted.
Right.
yeah, they really are. And just, this is what I mean by just, they these people know Star Trek so well. So well. Like, okay, we when the wormhole used to open, it used to look like it used to look like a butthole, but that's fine. But it did look like, a galaxy
The
opening up.
beautiful butthole.
Beautiful butthole.
I mean,
Sparkly, glitter, the
pink.
whole 9 yards. Rosebud. But this Mike was disgusted. This one, it was even more beautiful. Like it's not like opening and closing, it's just this beautiful swirl of, like, it looks like a
Mm,
tidal wave, like when you in the ocean, when like those huge pools happen, you're like, someone's gonna get sucked down to the absolute nether region of the world. That's what it reminds me of. It was perfection. Like, I don't care. Like, you cannot tell me that this series was not 100% top notch, start to finish, every episode. Because if you say it, you're a hater and you don't know anything.
you don't you,
Oh,
you don't know
well, so
anything.
how do you feel about Ransom being promoted and being the captain of the Cerritos?
It makes it's the dumbest choice, but it makes the most
Right.
sense. But you know why? It makes the most sense because in the episode where he was supervising Delta
Yeah.
Shift and Beta Shift,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and he was like, happens every time, where he's pretending to be sleep, he's pretending to be like a total doofus. It's like his
Right.
management style.
Telling dumb stories.
Yeah.
How to get people to bond together who are diametrically opposed, because what, you give them a common enemy. I'll be the common enemy because I need this work to get done. And when
Mm.
Home Babe at the end was like, I'm not telling anybody. No one's gonna believe me that you're that smart. Like that showed that he's not a fucking doofus.
Right. And they've been doing things like that all season, dropping
Yeah.
little, right? Like, yeah.
Well, he's the one who figures out that the transmission from the Klingon is faked,
Is fake.
or from the admiral. It's like,
Correct.
Mhm.
Like that ain't her.
he's like, this is not right. Like, he has good instincts.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so
Grossed out by him slathering
No.
himself with goo.
no, I was so
Are
happy.
you kidding me? I
with
watched that in slow mo
his-
later.
Right, nice. They lean into this. New Trek leans into this idea that every captain has a phrase for engage.
Oh,
His
they did
is
great.
Perfect.
It
It
was
is-
perfect
See?
because it's also sort of making fun of the convention.
Yes. Yes.
I
And
need,
also,
I need
like,
to say something.
It was the dumbest joke, and it was the
Mm-hmm.
joke, and it was the joke that they leave us with.
Because he's
The
this,
last joke of the series.
Yeah.
he's this, gym bro, right?
Yeah.
And so his say it, Damien.
Engage the core.
And they're like, no, it's okay. You can't, we
No,
But
can't."
no.
also for as much as he was like, this group needs a common enemy,
Yeah.
he also looks at Mariner and Boimler and was like, this closeness is kind of a problem. And what does he do? He pits them against each other. And then what does he do? He purposely, like,
Purposely.
if we're to take all of his behavior all
Mhm.
season to mean what it sounds like, that part of his doofusy exterior, his gym bro doofus thing,
Mhm.
is kind of an act,
Yeah.
right? So he knows that his catchphrase is going to get under their skin, and they react exactly the way he wants, and he does it more.
Mhm,
So he's
mhm.
like there to like fucking needle those two because he looks at them and he's
Yeah.
like, oh, they need this.
Yeah. And here's the
Yeah.
other thing is that his behavior is like that of a blonde, of a like natural blonde who's like, oh, I'm a dumb blonde. You have a PhD in fucking
Mhm.
astrophysics,
Mhm.
but you play into the,
Right.
oh, I'm so
Well, it's-
stupid.
It's Paris Hilton, like
Lonnie Anderson at WKRP in Cincinnati.
sure.
Mm.
Right? She like plays the dumb blonde thing to her benefit, but is smarter than everyone else,
Mhm. Exactly. No.
Speaking of
It's-
celebrities, can we
Ooh,
talk about
celebrities.
all of the people that they brought into the penultimate episode?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. There's so
Oh my
many things
God.
happening at once.
Overload.
Let's just start with T'Pol, okay?
Let's go. Let's go with the
Which
entire
one is
ship.
T'Pol?
She's the Vulcan. She's the Vulcan who has got emotion because she was married to Tom Paris for all of those years. No, not Tom
What?
Paris. Not Tom Paris.
Trip Tucker.
Trip Tucker. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I was my bad.
I was
So-
like, I am not an Enterprise fan, but I know that to be not true.
You know that's right. Yeah, I mean, Jolene Blaylock has not acted in years and years. I think she kind of left the business. I don't think she needs to act. You know what I mean? It's not like a passion of hers. She's doing other things with her life, but they managed to get her back for this episode, which is really, I think, quite a coup. I mean,
Yeah.
and they gave her character this great little relationship with Dax, with Elam Dax.
Yes.
Not Elam.
Curzon
Curzon, sorry.
before Jadzia.
I went to Garrick's first name. But yeah, Curzon Dax. Like who knew this was the friendship we were gonna care about? But this little friendship was it was great. It's like, if you're gonna bring someone back like that, give her something to do, and they did.
And they did. All the way
Yeah.
till the end.
Yeah.
Give her something to do. I will take the symbiote. You can't. I will take its memories. And we know that can happen
Right.
because we watched
Patra,
that.
right?
This is what I'm saying. Like, it just, Okay, keep going. So we got her back, and then you
Mhm.
got your ship.
So-
Y'all got the ship you wanted.
Yep. Bashir and Garrick. We've been shipping them for years, and finally it's on screen. Finally,
on screen.
it's
Well,
canon. They're
and it
alternate
is-
reality versions of themselves, but
Yes.
Well, yes, but also Bashir is a full-on hologram
it's a hologram
A
version.
corporeal hologram, yeah.
that
Yeah.
that Garrick designed,
Yeah.
right? Nor
Is
is
he
he
just-
is he emergency medical hologram?
He's
I forget.
emergency medical.
He's because
He's
they're from different realities too.
yes.
Right.
Like Dr. Garrick and hologram Dr. Bashir are from different realities,
Correct.
which is interesting that they've fallen in love on this ship.
Mhm.
So they, how long? Here's a question: how long has this little ship pilot, captained by Boimler, alternative
doesn't-
Boimler?
It doesn't say, but it seems like a long time because of how tired he is to be going through
Yeah.
another fissure. Like
Right.
it's like it's been years
Right.
upon years. I feel like it's been years.
So which one was the more shocking cameo, Jolene Blalock or Alfred Woodard?
Alfred Woodard. Yeah. Speaking of,
Oh, and you don't know this. Lanita has not
Captains.
seen that movie.
And that's
you haven't
okay,
seen
but
First Contact, but you know who she is,
yeah.
right?
Hello. That's why I was like, I told you when I may not know character, but I was like, oh, that voice. And I was like, you gotta be shitting me. Like, yeah, Alfred Woodard. Man,
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the movie that you're all referencing, and that's fine. But
Yeah, First Contact. We'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Boimler looks so tired though. That
Yeah.
Boimler looked very tired. Like the way that they
So-
drew him. Go ahead.
So they fake his death, right? And
Mhm.
then he gets recruited
Section
into
31.
Section 31. And there's the joke about the black badge. Like, why do you have a black badge if no one's supposed to know this is a real organization?
Uh-huh.
So as soon as that happened, this is his mission. They faked his death and recruited him to do this mission.
Yep.
But it did feel like he'd been at it longer than, just the last 2 seasons or however long ago that happened. Like, they've been dealing with all these different realities. There could be time stuff going on. It seemed like it had been a while.
Wobbly. Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked like he looked like a person who does appendectomies all day. Like, I don't want to see another fucking appendectomy. Like, I don't care. Like, it's just got to burst. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
It's very specific.
This is very specific.
Because it was one of the major. Well, see, now it's gonna happen because of Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy.
Okay. I should have just left it alone.
We should have seen that coming.
Oh, but no, it just like even if it had been like 6 months, it's like you're doing the same thing and look how many Kims there were. It had to like
that's the next
that tells you how long it's been happening.
Right.
Mhm.
Until you get
Most
the
of the
final Kim.
crew are Kims.
Most of the crew are Kims. Which is
That was
wild.
brilliant. That the whole Harry Kim subplot was brilliant.
And how
that-
none of them had been promoted.
Again, that's a fan thing, like people are so like it's become this thing over the last 20 years that Harry Kim was never promoted. It's like the running gag, and they take that and like needle us with it. Like they make that the plot that the 2-Pip Kim is goes rogue because he wants to avenge them,
Avenge the single pips.
right? And they're like, he tricked us.
We don't want it. We're good. Which is what we all thought. It's like he was like, okay, like I'm good. That's so.
It wasn't in this episode, but we got some other references. We had a couple other legacy cast members come back this season. We have a purple head of Data.
Perfect.
So good.
Oh,
Perfect.
so
Them
good.
being left, and then mentioning Picard living an entire lifetime, they get stuck on the planet. Like,
Yes,
it's a second
yes.
for us. It's, 4 days for you. And the fact that they, for years, are living on this planet.
Yeah.
And, uh, um, why am I blanking? The fight
Rutherford.
between the fight
No?
between science
Boimler.
officers. No, the fight between
Tendi and
Tendi
T'Lyn.
and
Tindy
T'Lyn.
and T'Lyn.
T'Lyn would not come to my head, and my brain, like, I had a stroke. How she's like, she's trying to be the science officer, and she's like, I'm just
I am
farming.
not.
I am trying to make myself helpful in this landscape, which is so
And she
funny.
makes like grapes the size of,
I
Yes.
also love that kept happening all season, that everyone like had all of these like strong emotional reactions to T'Lyn's behavior because they thought they knew her intentions and that they were
Yes.
so wrong every time.
every
Oh,
time.
yeah.
When she fixes the shuttle,
Yeah.
Yes.
yes.
Yes, every single
Yep.
time. And then she tears the entire thing apart when she realizes the reason why. Like,
He was
It's-
just lonely.
it's perfect. It honestly reminds me of the Key and Peele sketch of the text messaging where one person's like, "Hey, do you want to get together tonight?" It's like, "Do I want to get together tonight? I don't care." And it's like, "Oh, you don't care? Okay, great. So let's meet at this place." And one person's reading it
Oh.
in this like very calm, the other person's taking it very aggressively, like, "You don't care? Well, I don't care." Whatever. It's like, yeah, whatever. That's no fine. And that's how she is. She's like, yeah, you want to fix it. It's old. I'll fix it.
So she goes
Oh.
through the world.
That's how she goes through the world. Very logical, very even keel. Everyone else around her is like a burning flame of feelings.
So are there any characters that we aren't happy with their journey in this season? I'll start.
Yes.
And I think it's because he got such a great journey a couple seasons ago, but they didn't do much with Rutherford. He was
Yeah.
really sad that that Tindy was not on board anymore and went through that thing, and that's what T'Lyn was helping him get through. But then, like, him being upset with his implants, that seemed to kind of come out of nowhere.
You know what's interesting though? When I went back and rewatched,
Yeah.
there were little references, little comments about the implants and about but I only perceived that after the fact, right? So that when I had the same reaction that you did. It felt very rushed. It didn't feel it felt for like they sort of leave all these dots for you to kind of connect on your own a little bit. So that when it happens, it feels very satisfying. And that is the one where they sort of did the least of that.
Yeah.
But
how so then how would you fix that? Because immediately when he meets the Otherford,
Right.
yes,
and sees how extreme he went when Tindy left.
Right. He's practically Borg, he's like so cybernetic. Yeah.
He's like, ooh, I don't, that's not what I want. So let me sort of course correct. Like, because he
In the
could
other
have gone
direction.
because he is so sad. Like, he's just working. He's like, they're like, where did you come from? Oh, I was working in this corner. You look at the armpit sweat. Like,
Right.
he
Yeah.
looks,
Yeah.
he's disgusting.
Self-care
Like,
is like, yeah.
he's like, I'm just gonna work because I can't think about how sad I am. And for all intents and purposes, we learn in the very end, like, yes, he does have feelings for her, but
Yeah, he blushes.
he blushes. It's like he really he loves her as a friend, but I also think it's sort of just he has more feelings than his implant let him tap into. And so I think that in order maybe I'm reading too much into it, but for me it was like, in his mind, if I'm going to be my fully realized self, then I don't need this. Like, because when he went old school with the reason that he fixed everything is because, like, we did it old school. He didn't need to tap in. He was just an engineer. He was an engineer. He wasn't, I'm cybernetic. And also he got a Rutherford. which I
Well,
enjoy greatly.
and I guess, the implant was put in him. It was not his choice.
Mm-mm.
They made him think that it was his choice. Um, and even in early seasons, there's the one episode where it keeps rebooting and he keeps
Mm-hmm.
losing like parts of his memory,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and waking up in like, a Gorn wedding or whatever. Um, so if so it has kind of been a long time coming now that you say that. Um,
I get it. Like, you maybe maybe his growth wasn't so apparent because he didn't necessarily have as far to go.
mm,
I
mm,
think his growth was more emotional in relationship building,
mhm,
not necessarily because we first episode, like, I'm telling you, going back and to watch that first episode, he's like, "Oh, I'm going on a date. It should be fun," and realizing that her being excited that they've gone through this danger together and wants
mm,
to make out, and he's like, "Wait, that's weird.
right.
Let me figure that out." And then he probably would have been like, "Okay, now let's make out." Tindy would have been the same, where like they go through this thing. Well, that's weird. And
Right.
like
Why did
she
that
was,
door open or
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
it
yeah.
was? Yeah,
She
yeah.
wasn't his person. And then he found his person in a super, sciency friend.
Right.
They started doing all that stuff together, ripped away. Now I'm sad. I could be
Oh
real
my
sad.
God.
So now I'm gonna be me. I don't need that. Old school. She's back. Now she can see I like her.
Did we want Rutherford and Tindy to be romantically entangled in the show? Or was it more interesting to have a will they won't they? Or are they really just friends?
I like that they're super close, but they're like friends who are like in like platonic in
Yeah.
love friends. Even though he has a crush on her, I don't think that he would muddy the waters.
Mm.
I don't no,
It,
I
it
should say
could,
I don't think she would muddy the waters.
I think people interpret them, well, both Rutherford and Tindy, to be like asexual,
Mm,
or you know what I
really?
mean? Like,
Why?
um because they have that closeness but don't seem to have any sexual attraction.
Maybe they're neurodivergent.
Right, maybe.
I think that I like the way that they did it in terms of their relationship because it feels like they may yet get together.
Mm, hmm.
Whatever their path is,
Mm,
whether it's friendship or romance, it is real slow and if
snail's pace.
snail's pace. So it was like
Like, no
so
rush. Why
there.
rush?
Right, exactly. So I love that they didn't deliver it over the course of the series, but the door has not been closed. They are still very clearly connected to one another,
Mm-hmm.
and he's blushing for her and doesn't know how to handle his feelings, and that's sort of like the next chapter. I think it's a
It's
long
super
road
cute.
for them if they ever do get together, and I think that's the way that it should be.
Yeah.
Mm,
I think it's exactly right that we had the moment, the blushing moment that we're talking about when we see that he
Mm-hmm.
has like a physical
yeah,
manifestation of
Mm-hmm.
romantic feelings for her.
yeah, yeah.
And
Well, he says that his implant used to like
Usually,
suppress certain,
correct.
serotonin or
right,
whatever.
so that may be the explanation as to why it never moved forward to begin with.
Yeah.
So I think that's a perfect way to leave it, that the possibility is there for them, that they may go that direction, but
They may not.
who knows what that would look like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
But I agree. I think that Rutherford was the one that was the most the one where you had to stop and think, where you're like, is
You
that
got the least. You feel like it was sort of the least of the pile of
yeah,
finality, or not finality, the least of the growth chart. Like,
right. Well, and
he's
I think
mhm.
part of it was that it was a surprise to see him lose the implant. I didn't see that coming.
Right. Yeah.
And
you
maybe
because you wanted him to
had
be Geordie in that.
no, I mean, I think that just sort of like all of the other journeys, we sort of like had a sense of what they looked like. We didn't know how exactly it would play out, but we knew
Hmm.
what their journey was,
Mm.
you know.
Well,
And Rutherford, that was, his journey was clearly getting all of his humanity back.
I mean, he
You
and
know?
Boimler both have a physical difference in that at the end, if you think of like just a cast photo, at the end, the beard is a huge difference, and the lack of the Vulcan implant is a huge difference. Everybody else kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
But other than, Pips, right.
Yeah.
Promotions.
But and also they made a point that Rutherford, when he loses his implant, is handsome.
Oh,
yeah.
he's hot. He's
he got hot real quick. Yeah.
It's the you take the glasses off.
It's that like stereotype. That's funny.
Take those nerdy glasses off, and now you're the cool kid. No, I mean, there is that physical part, but what I'm thinking about is like, is his journey realizing that having full spectrum emotion and having the full use of his whole self makes him a better person, but subsequently makes him a better engineer. Because we've learned that emotions do help. Like, she made a joke at the end, like, hello, like she was never going to make a joke.
Right.
Haha. When she said fascinating versus
remarkable instead of fascinating. Right.
Like those type of things, like those, that's small, but for us, it's like, for a Vulcan, it's huge.
I mean, the Vulcans on her old ship would have like lost it if they heard her make that joke. They'd be like, she is out of control.
Right. Exactly. And so like that, her journey is becoming not less Vulcan, but maybe using emotion or using logic in a different way. For him, it's taking away the suppression of emotion and letting it be fully, letting himself be fully engulfed in it.
Well, and just like Boimler realizes he doesn't need the pad, the red pad, Rutherford realizes he doesn't need his, implant,
Yeah, it's like not a crutch. It's not a hindrance. It's a blockade.
He outgrew it.
Yeah.
It's like, his growth went beyond it.
Well, and also it was like for Boimler, it was that that he already had the tools that he needed to be who he was going to be, and he should stop living his life trying to live someone else. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I regret that in the final episode we didn't get more. I wanted there to somehow be more or any interaction between the ragtag crew of interdimensional whatever. I don't even remember the name of the ship, but it looked like a Defiant class ship that alternate Boimler was in charge of or whatever. I wanted those characters to interact with our characters directly,
and it was a choice not to.
It was
a definite choice. It was a definite choice that was like, okay, so you want like, because they know their audience really well, right? Yeah. And they know that for like the finale of Lower Decks, like we want something that is going to like blow our minds in terms of legacy characters and worlds colliding and
right.
And they knew what was on order, that they had sort of set that expectation themselves, and yet at the same time, how do you bring in all of these, like the sort of rest of Trek, without giving a finale that's like the Enterprise finale, which is like clearly sort of it's sort of admitting defeat and offering your finale to other characters that are not like they made it. They clearly wanted their Lower Decks characters to be front and center, because like who else really appeared in that episode? Apart from, I think everybody was somebody who had been a purely Lower Decks invention. Right.
Yeah.
And then they sort of give a nod to them all. They're sort of like watching them at like, that.
Yeah, we see them for a second.
And that moment seemed almost like out of Generations, right? At the opening of Generations, where the champagne bottle hits the ship,
Yeah.
and there's the sort of reception. You see all the people
Yeah.
sort of looking out into space. Like it felt very much that.
That's funny. Yeah. The other ship is the Anaximander.
See, too much.
Did we hear that?
I don't know that we do, but that's what it says on
On the Googs.
on Memory Alpha.
Wild.
Yeah.
What did we think?
Nicknamed the Nax.
Ugh, that's horrible. I will say a standout that made me again sort of laugh out loud was when Cat Doctor was told that she is lacking in her pain management and was
Oh
like,
yes.
that entire come on, scramble my insides. I said, and watching the amount of pain that woman can take
Mhm.
beyond, like it made me laugh so loud. I was like, oh, I guess we need to get some pain meds. Like at the very end, we're like, oh, it's that.
That's her character growth. Like
That's
her
her character.
ability to
Yeah, like, oh, I guess we do need pain
have
meds.
any kind of bedside manner.
I love that we learned that Shax is like fully spooked 24/7.
Yes. Yeah. He has
Yes.
his like,
Demon
vision
ghost.
from the war. Yeah.
Were there any characters that surprised you that had like a journey that you didn't expect to be attached to, like the sort of outside of our main four?
I would say Ransom. I was surprised to see his journey because, he was written, especially in the first season, as kind of a two-dimensional character.
Sure.
And it was nice to see them do something with him and then make him captain in the end.
I give you that. I just expected, and not that I expected anything. I just expected all of it. Like I did not. There was no part of me that was like, I'm going to be disappointed by these 10 episodes. Zero thought of like, oh, I hope they don't fuck it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew that we were in good hands coming into.
Yes.
And you were right, Jamie. You were like, I think we get 2 episodes with her at her home planet, and then she'll be back. And I was like, this motherfucker. But I kind of love the fact that it was like it almost was just an episode, and then it was like, no, I gotta fix the thing that I broke. And watching her get to sort of leave on her own terms again, but also change the culture of her people in a small way of like, the crew that she had was like, I want to be a dancer and I want to be a chef. You get to leave. You got to leave. So we want to leave too, but it's still on the realm of like looting and pirating, yada yada. But then like a small little subsection of women being like, oh, we can choose something else.
Yeah.
Because you chose something else.
I love that they're a planet where the oppressed women are forced into professional piracy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's good.
And that they're okay with not killing because cleaning dried blood off my knife is kind of taxing. I was like, okay, that's a reason not to want to kill anybody anymore.
I love that she appeals to not their sense of goodness, but she finds like other ways to appeal to them for not killing.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, all around good wrap up. Like what do we this could be a whole other episode, but what do we want to see next?
Do you mean that like just in general as a larger question, or what do we want to see next that involves these characters?
That involves these characters.
I don't want a movie because it's gonna be too quick. It'll be too jam it all in. I think that someone should pull their thumb out of their butt and fucking find a network or a streaming or something to gather all these people back together again, because at the end of the day, there's more story to be told. Period, point blank. Like, I'm not saying that we have to watch them in perpetuity. Would love it, yes. But I'm not saying that five seasons is enough, because it's not. Because if you can get this growth in 5 seasons, imagine what you can get in 10. And I still think that
They're
Star
short
Trek,
seasons.
yeah, I still think, give me 50 more episodes, that Star Trek is so vast and large, and the ideas and ideals of it are such that there are infinite possibilities, that each one of them still has growth to be had. Like, Rutherford spends 2 seasons without his implant, and then decides, oh, there's some huge upgrade to implants, and then he decides, oh, let me get a different type of implant because it'll help here. Mariner is like, ooh, this command track, not for me. I really do like science more. Next thing you know, she's transferred over to science. I don't know, but I just know that there's enough Star Trek in the past to help Star Trek of the future be the best Star Trek it can be.
Oh, yeah.
Do we what if the next offering is a Starbase 80 spinoff?
I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down with Captain Freeman and Admiral Freeman running. And what's his face? His voice was in it. He was somebody. The Nagus.
Wallace Shawn?
Nope. I always think that the Nagus
Rom?
is. Nope. Nope. His voice was not in a Ferengi body.
Okay.
Oh, side note, I did love the episode where they were helping the civilization become non-money. Bless you, Damazon. Listeners, he sneezes 1,700 times at once, so he goes away.
I had a pass of 11 sneezes on mute earlier. So.
Where they're at the civilization that is now getting rid of their money.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Right, and that's how they all win their fortune back, because they take all the goods for the Orions.
Yes.
Which is
The booty.
absolutely wild. Yeah. What
actor are you trying to think of?
Hold
Who
on.
did he voice?
He is the voice of the one in The Princess Bride who iocane powder, and he ends up dying.
Yeah, Wallace Shawn. That's the Nagus.
Oh, that's his name. Oh, well, yes.
Yeah.
Then.
Who is he? Who does he voice?
I don't know, but I heard it.
I will find out.
Yes.
He's still acting.
Yes, he is.
He sure is.
How do you spell his name? All I could think was inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
I don't think that word means what you think it means. It's just a good movie.
Colby watched that movie for the first time. I made him watch it like 2 weeks ago.
What movie?
The Princess Bride.
Wow.
How is he never? Wait. Did you watch? Go ahead.
Wallace Shawn was according to this was not.
It was not. Well, someone sounded like him in it, and at a later date when we are not talking about this,
find out what
will,
character and yes,
correct. But
and
back
we'll
to
like,
this.
Oh yeah, he was doing a Wallace Shawn impersonation.
Back to this Princess Bride situation. Did you watch the TV version with commercials and no cussing, or did you watch on like HBO where it's like full on rodents of unusual size in the fire swamp?
Yeah. The real one. Yeah.
Okay. Because if you watch it on TV, they cut it.
I think I've only seen it on TV.
No.
No. I used to watch it on HBO.
No, it was a highly fraught situation because it's like the one movie that everyone's like, "Why you've never seen it?" And then he's like, "Why do I have to see this stupid movie?" So because
it's one of the best movies. Like, you get Robin Wright. Like, hello, you get
and Carrie Elwes.
Hello, beautiful young Carrie Elwes.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
lips and skin and like
Oh my
that is not a
God.
man should not look like
The
that.
whole thing.
Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya.
He's
You
beautiful
killed my
in Lady
father.
Jane too.
I don't think I've seen
Anyway,
Sorry, we
and
digress.
who else is in Lady Jane? Patrick Stewart.
Oh,
It's one of those
see, that
like
brings us back.
BBC
Mike
movies.
is bringing us back.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna have to watch some Lady Jane. What do you want? You
With
asked the
Helen, a
question.
very young Helena Bonham Carter. Anyway, okay. This is not the
Ooh.
Lady Jane podcast.
It could be.
So
What do you
yeah,
want? Starbase 80 spinoff?
I would love a Starbase 80 spinoff.
Excuse me.
I think I would be happy with movies if the way that South Park has been doing it recently, where they're not doing full seasons, they're doing these like special movies a couple times a year kind of thing. Like I would be happy with something like that.
But South Park has how many seasons before they did that?
Yeah, like
that's what I mean. Like
35 or something.
But that's what I mean. Like I'm owed at least 5 more seasons.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
think that Futurama is the model because Futurama, how many times have they gone away and then they just like every couple years all of a sudden
it's
back with a season.
Right.
You know, I never really
Good
watched
news,
that.
everyone.
Oh, I love Futurama. That is
This never, because it came on Fox, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because it's The Simpsons. It's a Matt Groening.
I know, but
property.
The characters all look like Simpsons except they're not yellow. And
Yeah.
Right. No, I know what Futurama is. I just
Star
never
Trek. Really, I mean,
watched it.
There's
a great like Star Trek.
When did
episode.
it come on? It's one of those things where it's like it came on at probably at a time that
I think it came on in
2000
maybe.
I was in college, but I don't know
right.
why.
So I never caught it in the first round, but it was
okay.
Yeah.
I never watched his other show. It's like Disenchanted or something.
On
Netflix. Oh,
yeah.
It's good.
Is it?
Oh, I watched. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I watched. I ate that. I was pissed when it like went away for super long. I was like, when are we fucking coming back with this?
Yeah.
No, it's good. Like you would.
Okay.
Lucy, favorite character.
Oh, good. I'll add it to my list. So yeah, I do. It's interesting that they being the greater they of Paramount is giving us a Section 31 movie, which I'm sure is going to be fine.
Great.
But is anyone asking for that?
No, I'm asking for Lower Decks. I'm asking for anime. You know what it is? You know, and I truly don't mean to cut you. What it is that you can do so much with animation.
Yeah.
You can do so much with animation that you cannot do with live people.
Right.
That doesn't like the fact that the Klingons, the wave hit them and they went to the Klingons that we know from fucking Discovery. Like this is what I'm saying. Like it. I'm watching this on the train because I was like, of course you're like, we're gonna do this on Tuesday, and I'm like, fuck, I haven't watched a single episode because listeners, we had planned to do we would watch 3 or 4 and then talk about it, but life be life, and so here we are again with a wrap up. So I waited and I was like, okay, 10 episodes, 30 minutes at a clip. That's only 5 hours of my time, and I was like, I'm gonna eat this, and I did, and I was like. That's what it just.
I should marathon them like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit. I truly am going to sit down and just put the dictator somewhere, come downstairs to the basement, turn on the big screen, and just run it back because it's the greatest. Yeah. It really it has given me a different perspective on what Star Trek can be.
That's amazing.
Well, and it's what I'm hearing what you're saying and echoing it, Mike, about the Star Trek they're giving us is not the Star Trek we want.
Right.
And
everybody wanted Legacy and it didn't happen.
Right. And I think it's good that they're not just doing what's popular and what's demand, right? And like letting the creative process trusting that innovation will will keep the franchise alive and keep it exciting. And Next Generation wasn't what we wanted. We wanted more Kirk and Spock. It's
You're right.
Mhm.
You're right.
Yeah.
these are all things that we have been through before, but
Yeah.
you know it seems when it coincides with canceling things that are thriving,
Yeah.
that it's kind of hard to make sense of. Yeah,
It cuts a little different
it cuts a
It
little different.
does.
Yeah.
I
because
mean,
it was never a 5-year
Prodigy,
mission. Like
right.
we knew,
They never said that.
like you knew, okay, 5 years, you can, but this was like, we're here, we're lower decks. But go ahead, I'm sorry, Mike.
I was gonna say I was more upset when they canceled Prodigy because it was so early.
Yeah.
But it was this like little known, it wasn't that popular. Lower Decks is like taken over the franchise in a way.
Yeah.
Like it is very, very popular. I mean, even though Strange New Worlds is the current, it's sort of the flagship show right now. You go to conventions and you don't see that many people in the Strange New Worlds costumes. You see a lot of old TNG costumes and Lower Decks costumes. It has captured something that I hope they don't let go of, is all I'm saying.
Well, and I think that they've done a really good job of walking that tightrope between fan service and innovation.
Mm.
Yeah.
And they're telling new stories, and they're going deeper than shows before it have gone, and they're doing that while at the same time giving us these delicious Easter eggs that
peppered
make
through.
us feel seen. And it's been a long time since there's been something that has been able to do both like that. And the fact, like we said, that they didn't make their final episode all about these the explosion of legacy characters that they gave us in the episode before. They're like, they're being prudent.
Yeah.
It was so smart. I'm gonna pass this information on to my partner on the other side, and the partner on the other side with the characters that we fell in love with, and we watched them crush and figure it out.
Also, I gotta say, in this final episode, I fucking love how Captain Freeman is like impatient. She's like, I do not have time for this Klingon bullshit right now.
That's true.
So good. So good.
Because she's been cool. She's been like, yep, we'll get it. Sure. We're the ones to do it. They trust us. She's like, I just want to solve this shit.
My two favorite moments with her, first of all, when Mariner and Boimler bring her the problem, they're like, hey, we got this thing.
Yes.
She's instantly like, okay, let's do it. Like, you don't have to convince me. You're two of my best officers. Like, let's take this seriously. And that like, never would have happened in season 1.
But also, like, we have been through shit with them.
Yeah.
We have seen them. We've seen them like be fuck ups.
Yeah.
But really come through at the end of the, at the end of the half hour, Mariner and Boimler always come through,
25 minutes.
Yeah.
At 23, they've solved it.
Yeah.
In an unconventional way.
That made me laugh was when the Cerritos turns into a sovereign class for a second. She's like, oh, I guess I'll have to take it.
That was one of the cooler moments. And I know you being a total ship geek about things, you're like, they're all there. I was like, this is awesome. And then when they're like, why isn't anything happening to the Klingons? She was like, because they just want them to look like flying birds.
Yeah,
oh my God, big stupid birds. I fucking love that. I was like, I kind of want that on a shirt, just at big stupid birds.
Big stupid birds.
It's so because here's the thing. Has it ever been explained in any small paper, any crazy interview, why the fuck they look like geese, like birds, like why that ship design for Klingons that have no relative connection to birds
I
at
did.
all.
Okay, so here's what I know. um,
More than I know.
it
Go.
comes originally the bird of prey was a Romulan vessel. The first time we see a bird of prey is a Romulan bird of prey, in the original series, and then when they did Star Trek 3, they decided to change the villain. There was going to be Romulans. They changed it to Klingons. And that's when they stuck with the bird of prey idea. And there's an interview with Leonard Nimoy where he talks about seeing I don't think it was a geese, but a bird swooping down to like catch prey. And that image is what inspired them to make the bird of prey look like that. It's like swooping forward. Now, the long neck and the head, I don't know about. But if it didn't have a long neck like that, it would look more menacing, I think. But,
it just looks like geese flying to Canada.
Yeah.
Or, they probably think about osprey because they do dive into the ocean
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
catch
We have a lot
so
of those down here.
It just it just is one of those things where I was just like, that are there birds on Kalis? Like, you know how you just start thinking,
but you
like,
don't
you
see
start thinking
Klingon
logically.
birds.
You start thinking logically about shit
Yeah.
when you really shouldn't. You just go, it is what it is. But that one thing made me laugh out loud. Again, like, people probably think I'm crazy because I'm on the train. I'm just cackling.
That line, that was like, I had to like read that when she said that joke about the fucking birds. I had to rewind it and watch it like 3 times.
It's perfect because you're watching the Cerritos change into something else, change into something else, change it, and you're like, oh, okay, I wonder what's happening back there. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
You can't tell.
Or when it turns into an actual barge, holy shit!
Oh, yeah,
And
like
they
the barge
all
in
float,
the
they all float
Yeah.
away.
It's like, damn.
I was like, yikes, they're all dead.
Yeah, thank goodness that doesn't happen to the.
Yeah, no, they
doesn't turn
they
into
don't
like
have
an
that.
aircraft carrier or something. All right. Well, I think we
Yes.
are coming up on our time here. So any final
Time is
thoughts? Arbitrary.
I don't know. It makes me sad.
Yeah, it makes me sad too. I mean, luckily we still have it. We can still watch it over and over and over and over.
Yeah,
we
but here's
we
my
still have our
question.
uniforms, and we
Yes.
still have our
Uniforms.
podcast artwork that's ripped off it.
Yeah,
As-
we're
you
leaning
know what
into it.
Absolutely. You know what I do wonder if in the world of streaming, nothing is ever tangible. I wonder if
Mm.
they will create a box set, right? Like, because I'm gonna sound so old. Like, I like touching things. Like, that's why I didn't like Kindles. Like, I want a book. I want the fear of a paper cut. I like a DVD. Like, put it in, watch it
Yeah.
on a screen. Like,
Well, you can
VHS.
buy the individual seasons, but it would be nice if they do, and I'm sure they will do an all 5 season box set. I'm sure they
Give
will.
me a box set with a 6-disc that has special behind the scenes, extended cuts, bloopers. Like, the shit would be hilarious if they did
Oh
like
yeah.
the blooper reel like they did for Pixar and all the end of the Pixar movies where you're
Oh
like
yeah.
like that would be
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
and treating them like actual actors would
Yeah.
be
Funny as shit.
oh,
That
funny
would be
as
so
shit.
good. You know that's out there. That like there's audio of them being hilarious.
Correct. Like, oh, Moopsy drinking bones and being like, oh no, I don't. Oh, sorry, I don't sound like I'm in enough pain. Let me try it again.
My God.
Oh no,
See, my hope
I'm-
is I'm still hoping for the Futurama approach. Just like give us like
It'll just
let a
come
couple
back.
years go by and then just give us a season.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, you can start it with previously on Lower Decks, 10 seconds, like a little.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right.
And it can honestly include stuff that we don't even know about, like,
Right.
you see Mariner fighting somebody with a bat'leth. You see Boimler sitting in the captain's chair, possibly crashing on a planet. Like, there's still so much.
Like
to
there's
be
stuff we
mined.
missed. That's a fun
Mhm.
idea.
Yeah, like we're picking up maybe like 2 years in the future, and here's a couple of little things that have happened, and why, someone's got like an extra arm, or like no longer an ear because it couldn't be regenerated because of the way it was cut off. I don't
Oh
know.
my gosh.
I'm just saying.
Wow. It's put you in the
Great
writer's
idea.
room.
Yeah, right.
Stop
Put it out into the universe.
I am
All right,
happy,
well,
but I am sad.
we're all in this together, and
We'll get through it.
we'll get through it. And you're with us too, listener. Thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed today's episode, leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Check us out on the YouTube.
The
You can find
YouTube.
us on the
Ooh, you're old.
socials, and even the socials that are maybe being
Slowly
banned. Who knows?
I know we should post some more TikToks before it gets banned, right? I mean,
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I don't know. Should we be leaving Facebook now? Anyway,
No, we can't let it. We can't let them have it. We all have to
yeah.
stay there and be as
that's nice.
queer as possible in every platform that there is.
Yes. Well, and on our webpage, it's pretty queer too, at hailingfrequenciesopen.com. And with that, I will thank my co-hosts for a lovely evening and say, Hailing Frequencies closed.
No goodbyes. Just good memories. Hailing frequencies closed, sir.
bye now. Thank you for everything. Bye now. Bye, everyone.
Ta-ta.